Cash Flow Diary Podcast, episode 451.
Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Cash Flow Diary Podcast, the podcast that teaches you insider tips, tactics, and strategies for creating leveraged streams of cash flow into your life. Learn from top-performing entrepreneurs, business owners, investors, and thought leaders from across the globe as they share their secrets to success. Like what you learn on this and other Cash Flow Diary podcast episodes? Go to learninvestingnow.com and sign up to receive powerful tips and information that will help you succeed as an entrepreneur and investor. Now, here's your host, investor, entrepreneur, business owner, educator, speaker, author, and master facilitator of Robert Kiyosaki's cash flow game, Jay Massey.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Cash Flow Diary Podcast. I'm your host, Jay Massey, and I'm glad that you are here today because when you are out there, you're trying to build your business, and that business comes with so many skills. I mean, you've got to become a completely different person. Often, many people have asked me, Jay, can I do this? This being their business. And I have to be honest and tell you often, no, you can't. The version of you that is before me right now cannot do this. You must learn and be willing to learn and become someone new. And part of becoming someone new is developing talent and skills in a completely different way. And one of the most important skills not only is leadership, but also being an effective communicator as a leader. And today's guest would say you would need to be able to take your public speaking to the performance art level. I have with me today Joe Yazbeck. He's the founder, president, and CEO of Prestige Leadership Advisors, whose mission is to facilitate leaders in becoming dynamic, powerful communicators so they can significantly influence the world around them. Now, when we say the world around them, understand that today's guest has worked with heads of state, politicians. He's developed bands, artists, performing artists, is in his background, released albums. We're talking someone who has been in multiple different industries and has the ability to teach you and I how to use something as simple as our voice to communicate so that you and I can become the best brand ambassadors for our empire as we go out there and build it. Now, what I want you to do is I want you to pay attention. I want you to be ready, and I want you to take notes and listen to Joe Yazbeck. Joe, you there?
I am here as can be. Well done. That was a beautiful introduction. I feel honored. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. I'm excited because I like communication. It's one of those things that that goes sometimes missed. You know, when you're going around and you're thinking, oh, I got to build my business, and we get wrapped up in the technical aspects of delivering the product or service. So I'm excited for this conversation. But before we get there, I've got to ask you a question. The same question I tend to ask everybody the first time that they're here. Are you ready?
Go ahead. Fire away, Jay.
Awesome. I tend to look at today's entrepreneurs a lot like yesterday's superheroes, if you will. So Batman, Robin, Wonder Woman, etc. And I think entrepreneurs and superheroes have a ton of things in common. Chief among them, as an entrepreneur, there are times where I can close my eyes and envision myself possibly wearing a cape, but flying around town and saving my customers with my product or service. But also, like a superhero, an entrepreneur has a beginning. For example, Spider-Man. If you think about it, he was just a kid going to school, trying to take some photos, and one day gets bit by a spider and realizes, I've got a superhuman ability, and now I get to choose whether to use it for good or evil. So my question to you, sir, is as follows. Before having your book, No Fear Speaking, translated into, I believe, 8 different languages, before the international speaking, before being a leadership and public speaking coach, before your company, before everything that people know you for today, what we want to know is, who is Joe Yazbeck?
Oh, great question. Well, let's say I was a little boy of 5 years old, and I'm at my home in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, and everybody was sad, dressed in black. Well, we had a funeral reception at my home. I had no idea. So my mother picks me up and says, Joey, get up on the table here and do that dance that you love to do, and do that song you love to do. And this song was, of course, late 50s. If you know anything of doo-wop, this was the Diamonds, right? Little darling, little darling, little darling, right? And the Elvis Presley knee jerk was going, and I had everybody clapping, and everybody was swaying, and the emotional level of my the company was raising up, and people were happier. And I thought, wow, I want to do this. I'm 5 years old, and I thought, this is what makes me happy, making other people happy, making other people lifted up, right, from where they are to where they should be, making change available. And I thought to myself, and many, many years later, transformation was key for me, because this was the reason why I felt I was on this earth. And that was to help people and to improve people's condition in life. So for me, if you ask me who I am, I'm a person that loves to help. I'd love to improve conditions around me in any way, shape, or form. And I'm a father, I'm a son, I'm a grandfather, I'm a brother, I'm a husband. I'm all those things that are so much more important than anything else. Let's face it. So thank you for asking that question. I hope I've answered it.
Yeah. I have a question, though. If I heard you correctly, you're saying at the ripe old age of 5, you're like, this is where I wanted to go. And you knew that.
I did.
That's very fortunate, because for many of us, myself included, it definitely wasn't at 5. And some might even say, I still don't know,
Well, I'll tell you, Jay, the interesting thing about it was re-cemented, I should say, another year or two later. And my father, this was family, and he comes down, he says, Joey, come on downstairs, you got to watch this on TV. The rabbit ears coming out of a black and white TV, okay? And all I see is a camera panning a huge stadium audience and one man talking to tens of thousands of people, probably 70,000 people in a stadium. It was Billy Graham. And I looked at this and I thought, oh my God, one man speaking. He had 10 microphones in front of him. I think he was on a scaffold or something on the 50-yard line of a stadium. And I thought, I got inspired that one man can talk to all those people. Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. That inspired me. I think everybody has in them moments of inspiration in their life they can draw from. Sometimes they skip over them, but they should draw from them. Those are inspiring moments that change a person's life.
Got it. I want to talk about that in a second, but before I do, I want to clarify something for everybody. When he said rabbit ears, there were these things a long time ago called antenna. They were actually attached to the television, and some of you may not know what that was, but that's good. What I find interesting, though, is you mentioned, Billy Graham, and we're talking about things like speaking and public speaking and leadership. I got to say that's definitely a high bar to be looking at 7 years old.
Yeah, it was. And I actually drew from it. I remember a time, and I wrote this in my book, that what prompted me to maintain it, because I slipped as years later. And when I'm talking about 12, 15,
sure.
You had bullying going on, long before bullying became something that people talked about. Mm-hmm. And what I decided to do is I decided to get loud and speak up. And people left me alone because I expressed so extrovertedly, so expressively. I decided, and I upped the volume on it. People kind of like, whoa, and it stopped. And I thought to myself, communication is the key. When you communicate, people look at you differently. When you speak with authority and you speak with confidence and a naturalness and an effortlessness with certainty, people listen and they look up to you. The most important thing, of course, is make sure you tell them the truth. Mm-hmm. You see? So that was a lesson then.
But you just said a mouthful, and because I've heard it said, it's been said many times, that one of the greatest fears people have, even greater than death itself, is the idea of speaking in public. And you just said, not only do you have to do that, but you got to do it with authority, with confidence, with effortlessness. Come on. How is that to happen? I mean, because many of us we're not born speakers, or are we?
No, well, we're not. And this is a talent that can be developed. I've taken many business owners, many different industries, entrepreneurs, top people, in fact, of many top companies, and helped them. Again, this is a show about entrepreneurship. This is a business-related show. So, anyone owning a business, the responsibility is to be able to communicate. It's their responsibility and duty to connect to the public they're intending to attract and help and serve.
Yeah, but at the same time, I'm going to play devil's advocate for the person listening. Because I know someone is saying, if they could right now, they would say, but I don't have the personality for it.
They do.
Okay.
That is not, they have it, and they've agreed they don't. They've agreed with others that they're an introvert. I don't believe in that state. I think it's an unnatural state to be an introvert. I think kids don't grow up being introverted. They're actually so extroverted they would jump off a 10-foot wall and just not be concerned about the consequence of breaking bones, and they usually don't because they're not concerned. But
how did you know my son? You haven't met him.
I have one of those too.
Got it. I was going to say, I'm like, is he looking over my shoulder right now? Yeah, that's funny though. That's funny.
But it is it's to me a myth that I think everyone is naturally extroverted, naturally expressive. I believe that. It's a matter of getting rid of what doesn't belong there. That's what I call in my book subtractive improvement. Subtractive improvement is the negative gain of something. You take away something and a person grows and blossoms. It's like a diamond that's naturally born to shine, but there are some brown spots or spots on that diamond that need to come off to allow that illumination to happen even more. Less is more in coaching what I coach. And so I never change people. My coaching isn't something I want to occur to make someone speak like someone else or take on some other identity that's not their own or some winning identity. Unnecessary. You can have someone, Jay, who is nerd-like, thick Coke bottle glasses, 300 plus pounds, 5'2", and they could be as charismatic as anybody.
At first I thought you were describing me until you said 5'2", but then again, these things happen. So let me ask this question though, because we get what you do today. Take us on this journey. I mean, I get that at 5 you go, I'm going to go, do this speaking and thing and improve the conditions of others. But what was that journey like to get to where you are today? Or I mean, I
had to come through being an actor. Okay. I have a degree from a college, King's College in northeastern Pennsylvania. Beautiful, small college. Great. I had a great education there. And I really learned about people. I decided to switch my major from psychology to theater. I learned more about people by portraying characters. And I had more stage presence, skill building by doing that than anything else. I also was able to do musical comedy and sing and so forth. So I learned how to express a song to an audience as myself, not just portraying a character. So that was an evolution for me too, being myself in an art form that I can create an effect on an audience. When I left for California at the age of 21, I was delivering lectures to help people with communication skills. These were curriculums to help people in marriages and to communicate better. I started focusing on communication as really a theme for me. And I spent a number of years in California doing just that. And I became as well continuing to sing and to perform. Then I started developing talent. I loved it. I developed talent in LA. I would take talent, the toughest, hardest stage fright people, and I bring them to the Cinerama on Sunset Boulevard, which was a 180-degree screen, half circle screen. And between the shows, I have permission of the box office to bring 6 people in to, between the shows, because it would be about 20 minutes. And I'd stand them up in the aisles, back facing the screen while they were facing the audience coming in, and they were to say nothing and do nothing, just look at the audience.
What?
And yes, and just experience people in a seat in front of you looking at them. It's saying nothing. And I swear to God, you literally see beads of sweat dripping from their fingertips,
right.
Twitches in their eyes, they'd be swaying. And after the first 5 minutes, it would noticeably reduce. The next 5 minutes, more noticeable reduction until about 15, 20 minutes. They were aware there were people in front of them and they were calmer. But this is how you train somebody to experience an audience, is by being there looking at them. And I say to my attendees at my conventions, I say, look, this is the biggest, simplest way to think about public speaking. You're standing up there and you are looking at people looking at you. That's it. You're looking at people looking at you.
Yeah.
Keep looking at people looking at you until you get comfortable.
I'm hearing what you're saying and I'm envisioning this in my head, but I have a question, because I think technology is kind of changing a lot of that for you in the sense of when I start thinking about places like a YouTube or a Facebook live streaming or all of these technologies that are coming to the table. A lot of the times I don't actually see the audience today.
That's unfortunate. That's true. I try to convince and reassure my clients to do just that. Online video conferencing is key. I just recently delivered a video webinar live from Mexico City to a huge group of people in Prague, Czech Republic. And I'm in Mexico City at my publisher's office at 7:00 in the morning. Delivering, because it's a 7-hour time difference, delivering my event, and I'm watching them and they're watching me.
That's funny.
And I think it's important to always try to have that opportunity. But what has happened the last 3 or 4 years is I've really put a lot of on-camera work in my training now to get a speaker to be so comfortable in front of a camera to deliver a 1 to 2 minute promotional video or a Facebook Live, that they're able to just be relaxed like you and I are, having this normal, quote unquote, normal conversation.
Right.
And to be able to do that in a way where you're moving an audience to your call to action. So you're moving your audience and I list this in my book, from the pain of the problem to the consequence if you should do nothing about it, to the benefits if you should do something about it, to what your solution is that would help them, all in a minute to 2 minutes. So now that's workable.
Well, but I have a question, because you've been on both sides in major ways now. Which is more challenging, an audience or staring at a camera? Hey guys, thanks for listening as always, and I'm glad that you continue to support with each and every download and subscription and share. One of the things that I want to ask you, though, is where are you listening to me from right now? I know some of you, maybe you're on a treadmill, maybe you're washing dishes, maybe you're walking that dog, and some of you are actually in a vehicle driving right now. One of the fun things that you can do to get some of your time back is begin to living a car-free existence. But even then, it can be a little complicated. So one of the things that I want you to do is I want you to go over to Zipcar. Go to joinzipcar.com/cashflow diary. It's a way that I am able to still go get a car just for a few hours, very, very simply, so that if I have a lot of errands to run and sheets to drop off and running to the short-term rentals, or if I just want to go for a long trip up to LA and back, etc., I can rent a car for a very, very short period of time. And the cool part is I don't even have to pay for any gas. Again, go to joinzipcar.com/cash flow diary.
Yeah, well, if there are people that have challenges with both or one or the other.
Really?
And yes, they are. And I think if you can have, I think a large audience, you have more to deal with, more possible consequence in a live audience, particularly with, the audiovisual or the power death. I call it death by PowerPoint.
Can we just cut out that part, please?
Yeah. Exactly. You have to connect to an audience. I make sure that my speakers can create an interaction with the audience. Mm-hmm. You want your audience in action. You want them moving. You want them involved. And there's lots of ways to do that. And I think that's the key to it. On camera, you have to really envision sort of the illusion of an audience there and create a person who is your prospect or your prospective client. And you're talking to that person. I did this when I was training people in recording studio environments where you have to get them to unleash a song and they've got headphones on and wires connected to them and they've got somebody speaking in their ear and they're supposed to feel this intimacy with the song. Well, they've got to be able to put the person up in front of them who the song is intended for, so the emotion unleashes and moves with the lyrics of the song. Mm-hmm. You see what I mean?
Yeah. No. I'm listening to this and I'm just thinking, there's probably a person going, why does any of this matter? Because when you start talking about emotion and moving people, etc., they're like, I don't want to be a singer. I don't want to be an actor. I just want to sell my widget. Why?
Well, you're not going to sell anything without emotion.
I see.
And that's the most important. I have trained people in technology, executives, leaders in financial services, healthcare, law, education, the building industry. These are executives or salespeople that need to connect to audiences. Why? Because they can convert those attendees into qualified prospects who become clients.
Yeah.
That's the key to it.
I get that. And anyone who can make insurance interesting deserves an award, in my opinion.
Well, it might not be insurance that you're trying to make interesting, but what's interesting is that what is the purpose of insurance? You're actually safeguarding the lives of people in the event of something bad happening. And that takes emotion that you have to express. Yeah. So I had the chief technology officer of Hewlett Packard for a client for a number of years, for 5 straight years since 2011. He's now one of my best friends. And he realized the impact that technology has, that live communication has on his industry, because he felt that technologists do not communicate to the real world. Oh. And that they're very algorithmic in their thinking and speaking. And he changed all that.
And on that point, that's actually something I was thinking about, because when it comes to being able to communicate a message effectively today, there's a lot who would rather rely on email or maybe a message on Twitter or Facebook, but not actually physically talking to them.
Yeah, it's a Harvard study. A Harvard study stated that there's 7 times more likely response with a video than not.
Got it.
And people want to see who you are. They want to feel you. They want to know you're trustworthy. They want to know that you have some courage behind you. You got some passion and purpose behind your business. They want to know who's the brand ambassador behind this company. And if you're not connecting to them, look at Jay, 1983, the very first major CEO came on network television and gave a commercial. Lee Iacocca, Chrysler. He borrowed a lot of money from Reagan's government. His obviously Chrysler was suffering.
Right.
And he went on the air and said as much as this. He said, please forgive me. I borrowed this money. I promise we'll build a better car. I'll get this money paid back. Please have faith in Chrysler. That's exactly what happened. Right? He paid back that loan fast. Chrysler rose to the top. They built a better car, And it was because of his courage to get out there and speak on behalf of his company. He connected to his buying public. This is what every entrepreneur should do. This is what every business owner or chief executive of any kind or C-level executive should do, and that is get visual.
Well, what's interesting to me is I think many of them know intellectually these benefits that you're bringing to the table.
Mm-hmm.
But my question is, why do so few do it? Why the fear? Why is it such a huge thing? Why, when you mention public speaking, people shrink?
Yeah, I actually used the phrase leadership communications. Of course, it involves public speaking. It's very interesting. There's more resistance.
That's funny.
It's very interesting. It's more resistance on that word public speaking than there would be on leadership communications. But it is fear. And the fear is this. I can't afford to be humiliated. I can't really express, I can't afford to be embarrassed. It might taint my position. This is the key elements of what happens inside, and these things could be trained. I have speakers I have people that want to be speakers that walk into my training center, and I have trainers that train them, and I train them, and I can tell you this, it's getting past the decision that you're going to make it. You'll be okay. And it's a learning skill. They're skill building exercises of how to own a room, mm-hmm. how to look at people in your room, how to create an attention getting opening, how to build your credibility throughout your presentation, how to tell a great story, how to evoke emotion, how to invoke emotion from your audience, how to get them active, and how to inspire them to your call to action. These are skills. They can all be learned. They don't teach this in business school. They don't teach this in colleges, really. They teach the woof and wharf of what it takes to be a good business person, a good entrepreneur from the standpoint of operations, delivery, promotion, marketing, quality control, finance, all these wonderful things, how to raise money. But what about public relations? That's part of it.
I would argue that without leadership communication, that's what we're calling it now.
That's right.
Without that, the rest of it doesn't matter.
That's exactly right. It doesn't. That's right. It is altered importance. I mean, what is more important than being able to speak to your own staff, communicate? There are executives that cannot communicate in their own meetings. They don't know how to negotiate. They don't know how to run a staff meeting or a quarterly meeting. They shudder at the fact of having to speak in regard to their own industry at some of the conventions or conferences. You see, mm-hmm. That's what I prepare them for. And I see this. I see the attack on their security. But what is security? You can have all the money in the world and have all of the beautiful things in the world, but if you don't have knowledge of something, whatever you lack knowledge in will make you insecure. And you see?
Yeah, I get it, but I'm curious. I don't know if you've been asked this before, but I'm kind of just curious. Like, you're really talking about a transformative process. This is not like I come to you for an hour and then I leave and I'm cured of my concerns.
No.
So what does that typically take to get to transform this person? Kind of like I was saying at the beginning, is the person that's in front of you isn't the same person that's going to be on stage later, or shouldn't be. And I'm just curious from a time aspect, what does that typically look like?
I have programs. I have 6-month programs to year programs. I have clients that continue with me past a year or 2-year programs. There's evolutions. There's advanced public relations, branding. I help my clients become authors because I want them to become respected, recognized authorities in their industry. This is my product.
I see.
And so I help them with the development process of their book. Now they're able to speak on behalf of their book. They get onto bigger platform stages because they're now best-selling authors. Now they're really doing something on behalf of their industry.
Yeah.
You see? But it's a program, or I may do, and I love this idea because I've done 2-day workshops that are very intense. I've done 3 to 5 day boot camps that are very intense. Okay? And change happens fast. And it's not one of those conferences or events where they leave and, oh, that was all nice and motivational and I feel better. And then the next day they've forgotten, they have no tools to work with. It's just the opposite.
So,
right? They have,
my here's what I'm thinking about right now.
yeah,
I'm willing to put money that there's a number of entrepreneurs who I would, if I dare say, have discounted what we're talking about right now to the point to where they haven't even thought about it. And the only reason it's coming up now is because maybe someone asked them to come speak and they're like, I know I shouldn't turn this down.
That's actually true. That's actually very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't have a purpose, and then they have a purpose. I had a PricewaterhouseCooper top executive come to me, and she said to me, I am now needing to have public speaking as part of my basic job description. It's part of her promotion, where she didn't before, and now her career depends on it, and she's killing it. These are the people will not step up unless they're put in a position where they need to have those skills. But there are people that think they have these skills and they don't. That's even worse.
What do you mean? What do you mean? People who think they have the...
Well, like, for example, you might have a trial attorney because they're in a trial every day and they have to confront a jury or an audience behind them and the judge and the opposition, that they have an audience, and they don't know how good or bad they are. So what I do is I always offer a complimentary audition when somebody comes to see me, and I put them through this, what I call the speaker's gauntlet.
That does not sound good. Okay.
But it's so good. It is so good. And no, it doesn't sound good, but it's an audition, and it's revealing, and they love it. They get more tips. They learn from it. They know their strengths, and they know their challenges. You see?
Got it. Interesting.
That's the key thing about it. It's a diagnostic, really, is what it is. And so there are really great people that should be speaking. And there are people that are, quite honestly, and I've had to turn down some of these people that are dishonorable, that have incredible potential speaking skills that I hope don't influence a lot of people because their intent is dishonorable. You see, they're just out to make money at other people's expense, and those are not the kind of people I want to coach.
So when it comes down to it, when in an entrepreneur's career should this be something that they start thinking about?
There should not be a time that it's not. There should be a time always. When is it that someone goes, I need to communicate better. I need to improve my ability to influence others, to affect positive change on other people. Now, people who don't wish to expand or improve won't make it. It's always those professionals that want to improve the conditions of their career and their income. If you want to improve your income, improve your career, and scale up, if you're an entrepreneur and you have a business and you want to expand your business, then you're going to be needing to get out and communicate as the leader of your industry.
Yeah. It feels like from my perspective, we produce a significant amount of content, whether it's video, audio, written, etc. And it feels like it's table stakes. If you're going to be in the game, you have no choice. It's not really an option to not do this. Otherwise, how does business actually get done today? If you were to, and with that thought in mind, if you were to say, look forward in the future, do you see the ability to communicate as a leader something that's going to go away because be replaced by technology in any way, shape, or form? Or is this something that's going to become bigger?
Absolutely more prevalent. Look, I'm going to tell you, we no longer live in a computer age or information age. We live in an age of connection and communication. That's the age we live in. The world.
How so? What do you mean? What do you mean?
Well, social media. People are connecting. Wars are being halted because of social media. We have got to be visual. There's a camera everywhere. Get on it. I encourage my clients to put a camera on their dashboard so they're looking out at the road. I don't want them endangered. And if they feel like they have to push that button, go Facebook Live and go, hey, everybody, I just had a thought today and I wanted to share it with you because it's an inspiring thought. You're communicating to people. You're communicating your ideals. You're communicating as a business owner, your purposes, what inspires you to deliver the products and services that you do. You are in PR, in public relations, you're delivering a message with purpose and passion. And this is what people are attracted to. And when you learn how to do that, you're going to feel so much better about yourself. You're going to come out of any closet that you might be in, okay? And you're going to be out in the world connecting to people, because you'll make money because of the amount of communication and the quality of that communication, because people will trust you. And that is what money is all about. It's nothing but a stat. Money is nothing but a statistical representation of what you're producing. Okay? And the more trust and likability and confidence people have in you, the more money you'll make. What better way to express trust and confidence and likability than by getting up in front of an audience? They're already looking up to you. Literally, they're looking up to you. Literally.
Right.
You know? Then communicate that as a leader. They will elect you their leader for that time period. Move them, inspire them, motivate them, influence them. And yet you can learn the skills to do that. You know, again, I'm going to drop the bomb and say, go to nofearspeaking.com and purchase my book and call us. let us teach you and help you how to do that, so you can be the leader you want to be.
That's actually where we were headed. I was getting to say, you know, for those that have listened this far, you know, what's going to be the best way for them to reach out to you? So I'm assuming you want them to head to the website.
Go to nofearspeaking.com. In fact, you can opt in on the front page, free 30 No Fear Speaking tips that you need as an executive or leader, okay? And it's a free download. And there's 8 languages of books, no matter what you speak language. There's, I don't want to go through there's Russian, German, Chinese, Spanish, Hungarian, Slovakian, and Czech. Okay, those 8 languages, and English as well. So you also have a free 30 No Fear Speaking tips to access there. There's an online video course. It's 28 videos, and it's a course I developed. It's all me speaking directly into the camera, unscripted. I think it's great. It's a superb video course. And or just call. Love to have a chat. In fact, I'd like to offer something right now and say, you know, give me a call. Go to the website and call us. Ask for me, and I'll give you a complimentary consultation over the phone or over Skype. I'd love to talk to people. You bet.
Nice. I love that a lot. So I've got a question for you, because I'm kind of curious to hear what your answer is going to be. I mean,
okay.
We have a number of entrepreneurs here at various levels that are listening. And what tends to happen is that we can get to a decision point when we're hearing, you know, other people's stories, how they got there and what they do. And it gets exciting. It's exciting to the point to where some might even say, you know what, that's it. I'm doing it. I'm crossing that line. I'm going to become the entrepreneur. I'm going to that next level. I'm tired of 6 figures. I'm ready for 7. I'm tired of 7. I'm ready for 8. And if speaking's going to do it for me, then doggone it, that's what I'm going to do. They're at that decision point. Mm-hmm. Now, you know, like I know, that oftentimes when we reach these decision points, we're often accompanied by a companion. That companion typically comes in the form of a voice that reminds us of what we can't do, why we can't do it, and who we're not, and why on earth would anyone listen to you? And for some people, they're even related to that voice. So my question is as follows. Let's pretend that this time they're actually going to follow through. They're going to do it, and they're going to do so in the next 24 to 48 hours. What would you suggest that they do?
What would I suggest that they do to take that next step?
Yep.
Well, they've got to make a decision within themselves that they're good enough and they deserve it. And no risk equals no reward. And that's where you got to get off the fence. The worst place to be in life is in a maybe. And with maybe, you're frozen in indecision. You're afraid not to, and you're afraid to. Get off the fence. You have nothing to lose. Make the decision. And I say, I'd love to have that first chat, because it's a lot easier than you think to make it through the cycle and the process. A lot easier. And once you're through it, you're a different human being. You're more of who you are. All the qualities that you are, there's more of them present. And now you have the courage and the ability to face any audience of any size for any purpose, you know, and really make truly an inspiring difference in the world around you.
That's amazing. I definitely want to say that I appreciate the impact you're having, because you're one of those guys who's we may not hear about all the time, but we may know the people that you've worked with, and they may be the ones out there influencing, but you're helping them become better and empowering leaders to go out there to empower others, which is, I think it's amazing, because you can have such a profound impact from just one standpoint. And I just want to say thanks for taking the time to influence us and to share your knowledge, your insight, as well as your wisdom here with the Cashflow Diary, sir.
Well, thank you, Jay, and thank you for giving me that opportunity to make that influence happen here on this show. I really appreciate what you do a lot. Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know what time it is. It's time for you to move at the speed of instruction. What does that mean today? It means, well, nofearspeaking.com. You heard the man say it multiple times. Get your 30 free tips. Why? Because you know there's probably 3,000 more that you need. So just get the first 30 and get it started. But what I want to remind you, because there's something that he said that I think was amazing. You're good enough, you deserve it, and the worst place to be is a maybe. So what does that mean? Move at the speed of instruction. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun talking to you today. I look forward to talking to you soon. Until next time.